Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Ramya with the Midday News. The headlines. Both houses of Parliament adjourned till 2 p.m. following ruckus by opposition over price rise and other issues. Opposition candidate Margaret Alva files her nomination papers for vice presidential elections. Counting of votes for presidential elections to be taken up on Thursday at Parliament House Complex. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal says India and Africa can lead global growth and India looks at Africa as a partner in progress. Central government forms committee on minimum support price of agri-produce for more effective and transparent system. Army Chief General Manoj Pandey calls on Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in Dhaka. Centre convenes all-party meeting in New Delhi today to discuss Sri Lankan crisis. In Sri Lanka, acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Anura Kumara Dissanayaka and Dulas Alaha Peruma to contest for the presidency in Parliament tomorrow. And Mehraj Ahmed Khan becomes first Indian shooter to win gold medal in men's skeet event at ISSF World Cup in South Korea. Both houses of Parliament were adjourned till 2 p.m. following opposition protest over price rise and GST hike. In the Lok Sabha, when the House met for the day, Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary tried to raise the issue of price rise. Speaker Om Birla did not give permission and immediately started the question hour. Following this, opposition members, including the Congress, DMK and TMC, trooped into the well, raising slogans against the government. Amid the din, the Speaker tried to run the question hour while repeatedly asking the agitating members to go back to their seats, but in vain. Mr. Birla said, as per rules, it is not allowed to bring placards inside the House. Later, Mr. Birla adjourned the proceedings till 2 p.m. Similar scenes were witnessed in the Rajya Sabha when the upper house met this morning. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu rejected the adjournment notices moved by the Congress, Aam Aadmi Party and other opposition party members over price rise and other issues. After that, opposition members, including the Congress, AAP and DMK, created noisy scenes in the House, which led to adjournment of the House till 2 p.m. Congress-led opposition parties today demanded the government to roll back the GST imposed on essential commodities like milk and paneer, which the common man uses daily. Congress and left parties held a demonstration in front of Mahatma Gandhi's statue on the premises of Parliament over price rise. Talking to media, leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, said the opposition will raise the issue of price rise in Parliament and also outside. He said price rise and high inflation are badly affecting common people and threatening their survival. Senior Congress members Rahul Gandhi, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and Pramod Tiwari, along with RSP member N.K. Premchandran, among others, participated in the demonstration. They raised slogans against price rise, high inflation and rising cost of cooking gas cylinder. Talking to media, Shiv Sena leader Priyanka Chaturvedi said,
जिस तरीके से बेलगाम महंगाई चल रही है और सरकार इसकी चर्चा होने भी नहीं दे रही है दोनों सदनों में, इसके लिए हम यहाँ पे बाहर प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं। हम उनको उनकी कर्तव्य का ध्यान दिला रहे हैं। हम ध्यान दिला रहे हैं कि इतनी बढ़ती हुई बेरोजगारी है, साथ में महंगाई है, जनता काही मची हुई है, पर सरकार को किसी की परवाह नहीं है। विपक्ष की जिम्मेदारी होती है इसको उठाना, हम उठा रहे हैं। इतिहास में पहली बार होगा कि ये सरकार जो कहती थी कि महंगाई कम करेगी, वो आज अनाज पे भी GST लगा रही है, टैक्स लगा रही है। और जैसे मैंने कहा, जनता ऑलरेडी इतनी त्रस्त है, उन पे और महंगाई की मार और बोझ बढ़ा रही है।
Interacting with media, NCP leader Supriya Sule said,
Price rise is the biggest problem in this nation. महंगाई इतनी बढ़ चुकी है, हम आम आदमी मर रहा है, पिट रहा है और इस बहुत असंवेदनशील जो केंद्र सरकार है उनको हम विनती करना चाहते हैं शांति के मार्ग से कि ये GST कम करो। बच्चे दूध पीते हैं, अंडा खाते हैं, स्कूल जाते हैं, स्कूल के बुकों पे भी, दवाई पे भी GST लगा दिए, ये गलत है, इसका हम निषेध करते हैं।
The Union government today said due to concerted and coordinated efforts of all the stakeholders, terrorism-related violence has been contained to a large extent in the country. In a written reply in Lok Sabha, the Minister of State for Home, Nityanand Rai, said combating terrorism is a continuous process. He said various steps in this regard, including strengthening of legal framework, streamlining of intelligence mechanism, setting up of National Investigation Agency, NIA, for investigation and prosecution of terror-related cases having various hubs, of National Security Guards, NSG, stepping up border and coastal security, modernization of police forces, and capacity building of state police forces. The Union government today said radicalization by the global terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda is one of the most challenging problems faced by countries all over the world. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, Minister of State for Home, Nityanand Rai said in the Indian context, some foreign agencies inimical to India along with global terrorist groups have been making efforts to radicalize people. He, however, said inclination towards radical ideologies is minuscule as compared to the population of the country owing to various factors, and efforts by the government includes ensuring universal coverage of various welfare schemes without discrimination. Mr. Rai said the government has created a counter-terrorism and counter-radicalization division in the Home Ministry to help and coordinate with various security and law enforcement agencies.
The Union government today said due to concerted and coordinated efforts of all the stakeholders, terrorism-related violence has been contained to a large extent in the country. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, the Minister of State for Home, Nityanand Rai, said combating terrorism is a continuous process. He said various steps in this regard, including strengthening of legal framework, streamlining of intelligence mechanism, setting up of National Investigation Agency for investigation and prosecution of terror-related cases, having various hubs of National Security Guards, stepping up border and coastal security, modernization of police forces and capacity building of state police forces. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has launched Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan in 272 most vulnerable districts since August 2020 to address the problem of drug abuse among youth of India. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha today, the Minister of State for Social Justice and Empowerment, Narayanasamy, said there has been a change in the pattern of substance abuse as reflected in the National Survey of Extent, Pattern and Trends of Substance Use done in 2004 and in the Comprehensive National Survey on Extent and Pattern of Substance Use in India conducted in 2018. He said under Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, special emphasis is laid on the participation of stakeholders such as women, children, educational institutions and civil society organizations.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur today made it clear that the government does not interfere in the functioning of the press in the country and does not subscribe to the view that the country is one among the last 30 countries on the ranking of 180 countries. In a written reply to a question in the Lok Sabha, the minister said the rankings were published by a foreign non-government organization, Reporters Without Borders, and the government does not subscribe to the view. A drought-resistant and genome-edited rice strain will be available for field evaluation by Kharif 2024 and for general cultivation during 2026. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has informed this to the Lok Sabha in a written reply today. He informed that the Indian Agriculture Research Institute has developed the drought-resistant and salinity-tolerant rice strain by genome editing technology, and a budget of 98.05 lakh rupees has been sanctioned for the same.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today clarified that no change has been made in the Army's recruitment process with regard to caste and religious certificate. Reacting to opposition allegations that caste and religious certificates have been sought from the candidate for the first time, Mr. Singh told newspersons in the Parliament House premises that it is as per the old practice and no change has been made for Agniveer recruitment scheme. He termed the claim as rumour, saying the earlier system existing since pre-independence era is going on. Earlier, opposition parties, including AAP and Congress, had attacked the government over the issue. The Supreme Court today transferred petitions challenging the Agnipath military recruitment scheme to the Delhi High Court. A bench comprising Justices Dhananjay Y. Chandrachud, Suryakant and A.S. Bopanna observed that the mounting number of pleas in the matter is neither desirable nor proper.
Opposition's vice presidential candidate Margaret Alva today filed her nomination. She filed nomination in the presence of senior opposition leaders including Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, Sharad Pawar of NCP, CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri, DMK leader Tiruchi Siva, Sanjay Raut of Shiv Sena and CPI leader D. Raja. She handed over her nomination papers to the returning officer and Secretary General of Lok Sabha, Utpal Kumar Singh, at the Parliament House. The counting of votes for presidential elections will be taken up on Thursday. Polling to elect a new President of India was held at Parliament House in Delhi, state assemblies and other designated places across the country yesterday. Over 99% elector turnout was recorded in the polling for the presidential election. Former Jharkhand Governor Draupadi Murmu is the NDA candidate for the presidential election, while former Union Minister Yashwant Sinha is contesting as a joint opposition candidate for the top post.
News just in. Both houses of Parliament have been adjourned for the day after opposition uproar on price rise. Around 12 Shiv Sena members of Parliament from Maharashtra have joined Eknath Shinde's faction. Shiv Sena MP Hemant Godse has informed that they have appointed Rahul Shewale as the leader of parliamentary group. They will submit a letter communicating this decision today to Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, along with Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. He said that these MPs were also present in Shinde faction's meeting via virtual mode. Mr. Shinde reached New Delhi last night and held detailed discussions with these MPs. Shiv Sena has total 19 members in the Lok Sabha. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that India and Africa can lead a global growth and India looks at Africa as a partner in progress. Addressing the CII Exim Bank conclave on India-Africa Growth Partnership in New Delhi today, Mr. Goyal said India and Africa can work together to bring cost-effective solutions in several areas like drinking water, logistics, healthcare, education, fintech, solar power, among others. Mr. Goyal said together India and Africa can solve several global issues. He said people, business, trade and government are the four pillars of engagement. The minister said there is an Indian diaspora presence in 46 African countries.
In terms of physical and digital infrastructure, whether it's information technology, whether it's setting up new infrastructure projects in your region, it's healthcare, whether it's helping you manufacture vaccines in Africa, taking pharma industry to help you produce your own medicines in every which way. India is very willing and very, very keen to engage with various African nations.
He said solar power will help bring clean energy, energy security, jobs to Africa, defense, trade, physical and digital infrastructure and co-creating startup ecosystem.
Africa and India, we are both blessed with significant amount of sun, and I do believe solar power can be one area of speeding up the engagement between Africa and India. It will help bring clean energy to Africa, meet your energy security needs, jobs, employment and economic growth to different countries in your region.
The centre has formed a committee on minimum support price under the chairmanship of former Agriculture Secretary Sanjay Agarwal. Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has issued a gazette notification in this regard. The panel will comprise member agriculture in Niti Aayog, Ramesh Chand, agricultural economists CSC Shekhar from Indian Institute of Economic Development and Sukhpal Singh from IIM Ahmedabad and Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices Senior Member Naveen P. Singh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had promised to set up a committee to discuss the farmers' demand for a legal guarantee on MSP. The committee will look at ways to make available MSP to farmers by making the system more effective and transparent. It will also suggest the practicality of giving more autonomy to CACP that fixes the MSP of agri-crops and measures to make it more scientific. The panel will also look at ways to strengthen the agricultural marketing system as per the changing requirements of the country to ensure higher value to the farmers through remunerative prices of their produce by taking advantage of the domestic and export opportunities.
Army Chief General Manoj Pandey called on Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at her official residence Ganabhavan in Dhaka today. He delivered a lecture on India's security perspective at Defence Services Command and Staff College, Mirpur, for students of Armed Forces War Corps and officers. He also visited and interacted with the members of Bangladesh Institute of Peace Support and Operation Training, which is a premier institute of Bangladesh training peacekeepers for various UN peace operations. The Chief of Army Staff is on a 4-day official visit to Bangladesh.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Both houses of the Parliament adjourned for the day following ruckus by opposition over price rise and other issues. Opposition candidate Margaret Alva files her nomination papers for vice presidential elections. Counting of votes for presidential elections to be taken up on Thursday at Parliament House Complex. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal says India and Africa can lead global growth and India looks at Africa as a partner in progress. Central government forms committee on minimum support price of agri-produce for more effective and transparent system. Army Chief General Manoj Pandey calls on Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in Dhaka. Centre convenes all-party meeting in New Delhi today to discuss Sri Lankan crisis. In Sri Lanka, Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Anura Kumara Disayanaka and Dulas Alahaperuma to contest for presidency in Parliament tomorrow. And Mehraj Ahmad Khan becomes first Indian shooter to win gold medal in men's skeet event at ISSF World Cup in South Korea. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
कॉम्पिटिशन्स की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो आकाशवाणी लाया है एक इंटरैक्टिव प्रोग्राम अभ्यास। एक ऐसा प्रोग्राम जहां आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या आप ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं अपने सवाल abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। हमारे स्टूडियो में एक्सपर्ट आपके भेजे सवालों का देंगे जवाब शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे। इस बार का विषय है पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। आपके सवालों का हम करेंगे इंतजार 20 जुलाई तक। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
क्या आप वरिष्ठ नागरिक हैं? क्या आपके मन में सेहत, आर्थिक, सामाजिक या भावनात्मक मुद्दों से जुड़ा कोई सवाल है? आकाशवाणी आपके लिए लेकर आया है कार्यक्रम एक कदम और बुजुर्गों के लिए हर रविवार रात 9:30 बजे FM गोल्ड पर। आप अपने सवाल हमें व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर भेज सकते हैं।
Welcome back to the Midday News. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will brief leaders of various political parties on the Sri Lankan crisis during an all-party meeting today. Speaking to media after the all-party meeting on Saturday, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi had informed about the meeting. Many political parties had demanded that India should intervene in the crisis in the neighbouring country. In Sri Lanka, Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Anura Kumara Disanayake and Dulas Alahaperuma will contest for the presidency tomorrow in Parliament. Local media reports nominations for the presidency were called for in Parliament today, and the names of Ranil Wickremesinghe, Dulas Alahaperuma and Anura Kumara Disanayake were proposed and seconded by their respective parties. Leader of the House, Dinesh Gunawardena, proposed Ranil Wickremesinghe and his name was seconded by Manusha Nanayakara. On the other hand, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa has decided to withdraw his presidential nomination, and the SJB will support SLPP MP Dulas Alahaperuma in the upcoming election.
The fifth round of Foreign Office consultations between India and Fiji was held yesterday in Suva. The Indian side was led by Secretary East in Ministry of External Affairs Saurabh Kumar, and the Fijian side was led by Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Fiji, Yogesh Karan. Both sides reviewed the entire gamut of bilateral relations covering political, economic, defence, cultural and consular matters and discussed ways to further strengthen the close bilateral ties between India and Fiji. Over 200 crore 33 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said over 27 lakh 78,000 doses were administered yesterday. The recovery rate is currently at 98.47%. Over 16,000 people recovered in the last 24 hours. Over 15,000 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours. 25 deaths were reported in the same time.
The last rites of legendary singer Bhupinder Singh were held around midnight last night in Mumbai. His family members informed that due to the coronavirus situation, the cremation took place in the presence of family members and close friends in Oshiwara crematorium. He was unwell for the last 6 months and passed away last night. In the United Kingdom, Conservative MPs will vote again today as they continue the process of choosing their 2 candidates for leader who will be put to a vote of members. One of the 4 remaining contenders, Rishi Sunak, Penny Mordaunt, Liz Truss and Kemi Badenoch, will be eliminated when the result is announced later. On the other hand, Prime Minister Boris Johnson will hold his last scheduled cabinet meeting ahead of Westminster's summer recess. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Today we remember freedom fighter Annie Mascarenhas, who breathed her last on the 19th of July 1963. Travancore, as a princely state, was undergoing a metamorphosis aided by movements calling for greater participation of people from across castes and religions and for a more responsible government representative. It eventually led to the formation of the Travancore State Congress in 1938. Annie, along with Akkamacharyan and Rosamma Punnos, were the first women to join the Travancore State.
There were repeated attacks on her life and property and assaults on other members. In 1942, Mascarenhas joined the Quit India movement, and 2 years later she was elected as secretary of the Travancore State Congress. Annie Mascarenhas went on to serve as a member of the Travancore Cochin Legislative Assembly from 1948 to 1952. She became the first woman to become a minister in the Travancore Legislative Assembly.
She went on to represent Travancore Cochin in the Constituent Assembly also. Annie Mascarenhas died in 1963 on the 19th of July. We salute this great daughter of the soil. Mangala, 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 oh. Mangala, 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 oh. Today we remember Mangal Pandey, who was born on the 19th of July 1827 in Balia district, Uttar Pradesh. His courage helped arouse the fire of independence in the hearts of native sepoys. Mangal Pandey was a sepoy of the 34th Native Infantry stationed at Barakpur. In 1857, the Britishers introduced a new Enfield rifle that required a soldier to bite off the ends of greased cartridges in order to load the weapon. A rumor spread that the lubricant used in the cartridges was either cow or pig lard. A belief arose among the sepoys that the British had deliberately used the lard on the cartridges. On March the 29th, 1857, Pandey tried to arouse his fellow sepoys to rise up against their British officers.
Mangal Pandey attacked two of those officers, attempted to shoot himself after having been restrained, and eventually was overpowered and arrested. Pandey was soon tried and sentenced to death. He was court-martialed and hanged at Barakpur on 8th of April 1857. After 1 month of this incident, on 10th of May 1857, sepoys revolted in Meerut, and that led to the outbreak of the First War of Independence in 1857. AIR News salutes the brave son of the soil. On 19th July 1905, partition of Bengal was announced by Viceroy Curzon. At that time, Bengal was the biggest province of British India and included present-day Bangladesh, Bihar and parts of Orissa. The British argued for dividing Bengal for reasons of administrative convenience, but it was closely tied to the interests of British officials and businessmen. The main British motives were to curtail the influence of growing nationalism and to split the Bengali people.
Before the partition was to be effected, the Congress arranged meetings where petitions against the partition were collected and given to British authorities. Large public meetings and demonstrations were organized, and novel methods of mass protest were developed. It was during this time that Krishna Kumar Mitra openly called for the first boycott of foreign goods through his journal Sanjivani.
The British did not listen to popular demand, and on the 19th of October 1905, Bengal was partitioned. People organized mass protests against the partition. Though the British wanted to divide people, people came back stronger, in unison, and the struggle that unfolded came to be known as the Swadeshi movement.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
अब हर घर की छत पर शान से फहरेगा तिरंगा, गुनगुनाए जाएंगे नव विकास के गीत, आन बान शान का प्रतीक राष्ट्रध्वज तिरंगा। आइए आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर इस स्वाधीनता दिवस हर घर फहराते हैं तिरंगा और लेते हैं भव्य और सशक्त भारत के निर्माण का संकल्प।
आइए हर घर फहराएं तिरंगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today paid tributes to Mangal Pandey on his birth anniversary. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said the great Mangal Pandey is synonymous with courage and determination. The Prime Minister said he ignited the spark of patriotism at a very critical period of our history and inspired countless people.
In shooting, two-time Olympian Mehraj Ahmed Khan created history by becoming the first Indian shooter to win the gold medal in the men's skeet event at the ISSF World Cup in Changwon, South Korea yesterday. Mehraj Ahmed Khan scored 37 hits out of a possible 40 in the final to win gold. South Korea's Min-soo Kim struck 36 for silver, while Ben Levin of Great Britain won bronze with 26 hits. India also won a bronze in the women's 50-meter rifle three-positions team event. The Sensex and the Nifty were trading almost flat today in the afternoon trade. Both stock indices added marginally, even as the global share markets were negative. The Sensex was trading above 54,600 points. The Sensex rose 99 points or 0.18% to trade at 54,620. The Nifty also added 21 points or 0.13% to trade at 16,300 when the reports last came in. In the forex market, the rupee also appreciated 7 paise to trade at 79 rupees and 91 paise.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Both houses of Parliament adjourned for the day following ruckus by opposition over price rise and other issues. Opposition candidate Margaret Alva files her nomination papers for vice presidential elections. Counting of votes for presidential elections to be taken up on Thursday at Parliament House complex. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal says India and Africa can lead global growth and India looks at Africa as a partner in progress. Central government forms Committee on Minimum Support Price of Agri-Produce for more effective and transparent system. Army Chief General Manoj Pandey calls on Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in Dhaka. Centre convenes all-party meeting in New Delhi today to discuss Sri Lankan crisis. In Sri Lanka, Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Anura Kumara Dissanayake and Dulas Alahaperuma to contest for presidency in Parliament tomorrow. And with that, we end the midday.